welcome to Changing the Flow, the journey towards period equity, our second episode of season 2 of Imagine That. We are a show dedicated to exploring the power of creativity and collaboration. Here we celebrate entrepreneurs and leaders with a social impact focus, thinkers and visionaries who challenge the norms and enrich our world. We also highlight co-creativity, the synergy of teamwork that enhances individual talents and drives progress across various fields. Each episode will host changemakers in our community. Imagine That reveals how co-creativity and collaboration shape our future and improve our present. Thank you for tuning in as we unlock our imagination and discover the endless possibilities of creating together. I'm your host, Roselia Bañuelos. I'm the co-founder of Creatopia Inc., where we are merging co-creation and technology to innovate solutions for collective well-being. And my co-creator today is Tanu Jane.
Hey, thanks, Roselia, for having me.
Great to have you. Thank you for being here. And a little bit about Tanu. She is a product leader with 8+ years in digital health and consumer tech. As head of product at BioIQ, she led the development of an at-home testing solution impacting 15 million plus lives and deployed at the Tokyo Olympics, contributing $200 million toward the company's acquisition. She is now founder and CEO of FlowCare, a restroom period hygiene company redefining facilities norms by making pads and tampons as standards as toilet paper. We're so excited to have you and have this conversation.
Thank you. I'm very excited as well.
When did we meet again? Do you remember the first time we
First time we actually
ran into each other? Because it's a few times.
Yes. I think we met here at S2E2 building, but then we realized that we have actually met before. Maybe 5 or 6 years before that.
At some random event, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoy reconnecting with people, and especially like seeing how everybody grows and like watching their journey. So it's been fun to be part of your journey.
Yeah, no, same here. And look at us now, right? Now we were good friends.
Yeah.
And before we were strangers.
Yep, and still co-creating.
Yes.
Cool. So let's get started with our questions. The first couple questions we like to ask, because Creatopia is all about creativity, and we really like to speak on the power of feeling safe in order to be able to be creative and in order to be able to play. So I like to ask people, how important was play for them growing up?
Oh my gosh. Play was huge for me, for real, right? Like that's how I actually learned. Experiment and problem solve, right? And not even just as a kid. I think it's huge for me even now, whether it's like brainstorming ideas for flow care, right? Thinking of solution. Being in that playful mindset, right, helps me, well, deal with stress, but then also allows me to really think creatively to solve problems, right? And that's where innovation happens, right? So yeah, it's a very important part of that, and that's why we also hang out and socialize, right?
Right. What was your favorite way to play? Do you remember?
As a kid,
Yeah.
I would say pillow fights with my brother.
And now?
And now, I mean, no more pillow fights. But
I like a good pillow fight still.
yeah, I mean, I will, yeah. If he's playful enough, then yes. Right, but I would say rolling down the hills, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still do that, right? Like I was at the Herman Park other day, Japanese Fest, right?
Yeah.
And I saw this big, huge hill, and I'm like, this is the perfect time to roll down, right? But yeah, I would say, like, first being in that state of mind, right? Being playful, and socializing my friends, family, right? Playing games and keeping some time out. Like I make sure every week I have something fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it keeps your brain just young, you know,
Oh,
and
yes.
active at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What was your favorite book as a child?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't think I remember my favorite book as a child. Well, I know what's my favorite book now. I would say Little Prince is actually one of my favorite book. Really enjoy reading it from a fun, creative perspective. Right. But then I also read, I would say now I listen to books instead of more of reading, but those are generally like mindfulness, self-improvement books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the first book that had an impact on you? Like maybe when you started like thinking about flow care, when you started really thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or just a book that you feel like has impacted your journey?
I would say How to Win and Influence Friends. I consider it as an important book, right? Because it's not only just about flow care, it's really about how do I become one as a better person, right? And continue evolving my friendship and build strong relationships with people around me, right? So I think that's why I consider that book as an important book.
And it's huge. I mean, building relationships is what being an entrepreneur is about, you know? Like you can't I mean, of course you have to develop your product and everything else
Right.
behind it, but if you can't maintain relationships and build good relationships, then you can't really I don't think that you can get very far
Oh, 100%.
being an entrepreneur.
100% Rosalia, right?
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is all about connections, right? From sales to, creating awareness around your mission. And ultimately, whatever Flow Care is about, helping people, right? That's the core mission. And if I
Right.
can't connect with my users, with my audience, and with this purpose, right, and build relationship with people in an authentic way, then what's the point of having Flow Care?
Right.
Right.
How are people going to be able to capture your message, you know? Like how are you going to be able to have the conversations you need if you can't establish the relationships? And you know, I say that and I love relationships, and I think that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs that feel like that's not important, and you can tell because of like how they treat you, like how they treat you personally.
Right.
Like I feel like some entrepreneurs is very much like I'll form relationships with people that benefit me or people that I can get like something out of that relationship, instead of just like the magic of relating and what can happen when you're really co-creating with people.
Absolutely, right? And I mean, if you think from one, if you only there in relationship or sales just because you want to get a sales out of it, right? You're not building a long-term relationship with that. Continuing that journey and that customer relation is going to be very hard, right? And people can tell, right?
Yeah, they can tell you're not authentic.
Right? And then other part of that is to build a good product, you need to understand people, right? I went and I talked to more than 100 janitorial people, right? Just so I can understand what are the challenges they face every day, right? And that's how we create a better solution,
Right.
right? But if I am not there to spend time with them and really understand their struggles and challenges, I cannot come up with a good product.
Right. If they can't trust you to share their pain points, then you're not going to be able to solve them, right? And that's
Exactly, right? And that's a huge thing. That's a product mindset thinking, right? That you really, really have to understand who your users are, who your stakeholders are, right? And what are the challenges they face. And not only just understand that, but really be there present and be there from empathy, right? So you can relate to the struggles from their shoes, from their eyes, not from yours perspective, right?
Yeah, yeah. We could talk about this all day, but we haven't even started with the actual questions. But yes, I love that. I love that that's, what was it called? What was the book called again?
How to Win and Influence Friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us what inspired you to start Flow Care, and how did creativity play a role into bringing the idea to life? And then you can tell us a little bit about our friend back here.
Our friend Tampy out here. So really, when I realized that beauty products are not really considered basic hygiene need, right, in our public health infrastructure, in our restrooms, in our facilities, that's when really was a triggering point for me to start Flow Care, right? Millions of people every day relied on period products, right? But despite that, those are not accessible, right, in restrooms. And I have faced challenges. I've seen people struggling. I've seen people facing embarrassment, leaving workplaces, right, hiding their stains. And facilities have not realized, and organizations are not realizing that this is actually costing them $40 billion in lost productivity and attendance,
Yeah.
right? And
That's
that's,
a
yeah,
big-
like, like we talked about, right? 84 million people. And this is just US stats, right? Missing work, missing school, right? And look at these stats, right? 84
Right.
people, 84% of population getting their periods unexpectedly in public, right? 60% employees have to leave work. 84% students miss classes, leading to poor attendance, right? So when I realized this is a huge problem, right, that's what really motivated me to start Flow Care. Yeah, and I personally went through that struggle.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about what
Happened.
what happened to you? We don't have to. But
Yes,
you can.
no, I think it's
Because I feel like that was the moment. I mean, because you learned about that, but I feel like that was really like the turning point for you to do something about it.
I mean, I would say that was the first point when I realized that this is a bigger issue. So what really happened was, I was at South by Southeast, and the company I was working for, BioIQ, we had a huge booth over there, and I'm wearing a beige pant, right? And my period started unexpectedly over there,
Yeah.
and I have to
Oh
run.
my God. And South by Southwest is huge.
Yes, right. So car like is parked somewhere else, right? I have this huge booth. People who were acquiring the company, they were there visiting us,
Oh wow.
right? And here I am struggling for my basic hygiene need, right? Like I had to run to restroom every 30 minutes
Wow.
just to use toilet paper,
Yeah.
right? And I personally didn't know that this was a huge issue because I thought it's just me. I'm the one, right, who runs into problem, or I'm the one who's not prepared, right? And I'm like, this is why I have to scramble for things,
Right.
right?
It's your fault.
It's my fault, essentially, right? And I feel like when universe really wants you to solve things, right, it gives you the worst end of the stick.
Oh yeah.
My struggle didn't end there. I was staying at Marriott, and by the time I'm done with this whole booth and everything, right? Remember now, whole day I've been frustrated just using toilet paper. So I'm thinking, okay, now finally I can get to the hotel and I will get a pad or a tampon. I can survive the night.
Surely the hotel should have something.
Exactly, right? I had two guys in the reception and I asked them, like, hey, do you guys have pad or a tampon? And they said, sorry, ma'am, we don't provide those products. It's not even like they couldn't even say pads or tampons, right? They said the phrase those products, right? And yeah, this is where really the conversation started. After this, I talked to students, I talked to a lot of friends, right? And stories out of like everyone starts sharing their struggle. And I'm thinking, well, one, good, I'm not the only one who goes into this problem, right? So other people are having this problem. But then if this has have happened to others, right, and has have also happened to me, why is this not solved? Right. So yeah, definitely, I would say my personal struggle was really something that made me to look into this problem and realizing that it's actually a huge issue.
Yes. So then how did that moment take you to, because what you're doing now is, I mean, is advocacy in a sense. Just how did you, I don't know, what were the first steps that you took after that?
I mean, I could have gone into a nonprofit route, right? But I believe if you have to create a change, a systematic change, it has to come with an actual company, right?
Yeah.
Because as a for-profit company, you can have revenues, you can have investors to help you push a change, right? And there has to be a direct, it should not just be a cause or a mission. For people to, or schools and organizations need to make that change, it should affect their bottom line, right? So that was my thought process. And then I started looking into national level study and really how does it, is it like one, is it me? Or is it a big problem that we can solve for, right? So one started with validation of problem. So that's where I learned about, all these stats, right?
Right.
Because this is a national level study that was done in 2019 in the US, right? And that's how I learned this is how big this problem is, right? So this helped me validate the problem,
Right.
right? The second piece of that was to look into now, if this is a problem, how does it really impact people or businesses, organizations' bottom line? So then I studied that and I realized, oh, it's 14 billion loss in productivity and attendance, right?
Right.
So then now I know, okay, not only is it a good social cause for organization to make products accessible, is actually a business cost for them. It makes business sense to invest in women so they can improve their productivity and attendance, right?
Yeah.
So this was my big first step.
Mm.
And second step was to then learn how do we come up with a solution so we can make this as a standard and make it easier for organization to implement it.
Nice. We'll see your solution in a second. But tell me what kind of assumptions about period care that you had to challenge through well, I mean, just at any point. I've heard some, but I would like for you to share them. Just the craziest things that you've heard about period care and how bringing products into the bathroom might cause.
I mean, a lot of those things you already are aware of, right? Just because we talk so much about this, right? I would say my first thing was I wanted to understand what is men's perception around period and what do they really think about like whole issue of period health and accessibility. Because unfortunately, men are the one in leadership, right? And I would have to have those conversations with them.
Right.
And I started that, at least the start of those conversations naturally happen in ION. And I would say one of the biggest assumption I've heard is the fact that people think that women just somehow know when exactly their periods are coming. And we just carry all of our supply with us 24/7, right? Like this is our whole backpack that we carry with us.
It's like time. You can schedule it.
Yeah, right? Like we can schedule it, right? So I think that's one biggest assumption that I feel like all men think, right? I think second was surprising. I'm having this conversation, right, talking to this guy, and he said, this is a horrible idea. So I said, why? Tell me. I'm curious now, right?
Well, this being what? Having period products?
Yes, like having period products in restroom and making them accessible, especially in workplaces, is a horrible idea. So now I'm naturally curious, and I'm like, so tell me, why is this a horrible idea? And he goes, well, women are going to start having periods at work. Right? And I'm like, what did I?
It just sounds like a bad joke. You know?
Right. But this guy was genuinely serious, right? Like, somehow we have a Bluetooth, right, tied to our, our phones, and we can just control we can choose when we want to have periods and not have to have periods, right? And we are definitely not having periods at work. Like this is
definitely not between certain dates.
Right. Yeah. So I would say these were some interesting conversations I had.
Crazy.
But bottom line is definitely, the understanding that we just carry things all across with us, and some of that, unfortunately, is just not conversations or that understanding just from men. I have talked to women in certain age group, and they have struggled, right? They had their own struggle to be even women, to be a woman in workplace, to be in STEM, right? And they have fought so many things that they don't even realize that this is a problem. And they are also not, they just think, oh yeah, women should be carrying these things with them, right? But ideally, we don't carry, like workplaces provide us toilet paper. We don't ask people to carry their own toilet paper.
Right.
Right. So why are we asking or expecting women to do that?
Right.
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 So,
right. Definitely. I mean, there's definitely a lot of history, and I don't want to get too much into politics, but have you looked into policy work and like actually changing laws and what kind of laws that would take?
yeah, so that's actually, I'm glad that you asked that, right? So one of the good things that's happening is when this study in 2019 was published, state of Hawaii and state of New York, right, actually started implementing some bills to mandate products in restroom,
Oh, good.
right? And Hawaii actually did a pilot and they saw productivity and attendance improve by 7%. And this is huge. You think 7% is not huge, 1% increase in productivity and attendance for a school, like just imagine just 10,000 students, that's 360K in additional revenue.
Wow.
Right? So that's huge, when you talk about 700 or 7% increase in productivity and attendance. Long story short, now we're really in this regulatory tailwind momentum, right? 24 states have now mandated free access of period products in restroom.
Good.
Right? So now it's not only just a social mission, right? There's regulatory support around flow care, and then also there's a business impact to that.
Good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Good. How's Texas doing in that?
I'm in Texas. We're definitely far behind, right? I think there was a bill that was introduced, and I'm not sure how things are moving there.
Okay.
But I would love to talk to senators, right? I love to connect with people who are there and making these bills to help them understand how it's really going to help if we implement this bill here in Texas, how Texas in productivity, attendance, right, will improve just because they invested in women.
Yeah. Our conversation last time was around really helping employees feel seen and how employees really need these things that are just basic self-care to feel like they're acknowledged by their employer, and how much that affects productivity, right? Like when you say it out loud, it makes sense, but the fact that we don't really take the time to actually implement what it will take to have people feel seen, it's just. So yeah, I enjoy the conversation.
100%. I mean, you see employers spending money on, social activities. They're spending money on providing beer, right? But then, hold on, you forgot a basic hygiene need for 51% of your population, right? So yeah, 100%.
Yes, I'm all about our women being empowered everywhere.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's just not, just not a women issue or, men issue. It's a societal basic hygiene issue, right? We're talking about public health infrastructure here, right? Of course, we are the only one who have periods, right? But it is impacting men too,
right?
Because imagine you're for a man or for a guy or for a coworker, right, or for an organization, you're an executive, your period started, now you're giving a conference, right, or you're leading in a meeting. And if you're missing out work just because you had your unexpected periods, and you have to leave home or go home for that, right, it's not only the amount of money they're paying you, it's also about the productivity you are creating for them, right? The business opportunities you are creating for them, right?
Time and is money.
Exactly, right? So yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what you landed on and what your solution is.
Yes. So well, we realized this problem hasn't been solved, right? One, because of lack of awareness, right? Other issue was there was no really a right product solution to make this accessible. You remember, right, back in the days, you would have those dispensers that required quarters. So I got curious in terms of they used to exist, but now they're nowhere to find, right? We can't find those dispensers anymore. And of course, you and I don't carry quarters, so I understand our perspective there, right? And the pads and tampons provided with those are almost like a diaper, right? They're cardboard tampons, right?
Not organic.
Not organic, yeah. But then I was curious in terms of, is there something that's about those dispensers that's making it difficult for janitorial staff and facilities to implement that? And maybe there's something about that that's really, that all the new facilities infrastructure completely got rid of them. So then I went and I talked to almost 100 janitorial staff, and I learned that it would take them more than 30 minutes just to refill 30 period products in that dispenser.
Wow.
So that dispenser have tiny slots in it, right? And they would have to take a pad and put in a slot, take a tampon and put in a slot, right? So we learned a lot of challenges with those dispensers. They had buttons, and in the restroom, with the repeated use, buttons will break. And with 30 product capacity, like that's gonna be gone, right? So what we built is FlowCare. This is our first flagship dispenser. So one is stainless steel, so it adds durability, right? Biggest thing we did, instead of taking 30 minutes, it refills in 30 seconds.
Yay!
Right? Now janitorial staff can just take bunch of pads, bunch of tampons, throw in there and go about their day, right? This takes 50 pads and 75 tampons.
Wow.
So they can refill more products in less than 30 seconds, go about their day, and we remove buttons so they won't jam and they won't break. So we increase the durability of the dispensers. Plus our dispensers are tiny, so they can fit them in a small bathroom to like a huge, big bathroom. So this is what is making accessible easier, right, for the organization. And we provide them the whole infrastructure, how to implement that, our own organic line of pads and tampons. We also provide them data in terms of what the usage is looking like. Are the dispensers being properly cared for? Do they need to adjust their refill time?
Nice.
So we provide them all that analytics around that too as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So there's been assumptions and kind of challenges. What are some like surprising things that you found on the journey? Like, I remember we were doing some interviews, and there was just something I remember. There was a boyfriend that spoke about his story. I've enjoyed seeing how the men
Have come forward.
yeah. They
Yes.
also they're the ones that might have the most stigma around it because they just don't know. But also how some of them have really stepped forward for their females in their life, and they're like, yeah, this should be everywhere. Like, why isn't it?
Yes. I mean, Rosalia, when I feel like, when you have to create a change, right? Like I said, it's not just women's issue. This is a societal issue, right? And if men and women are not together solving for each other's problem, then we're not building a good society, right? And then we can't solve any problem, right? So it's very important for me to bring more men into this conversation. And to your point, that's why I'm going and interviewing more men, right? For them to share these stories and empower each other, right? And empower people, right? To make this change happen, right? And to your point, I was at IR, right? And interviewed this guy, and he shared like how he was at Harmon Park, like we were there at the festival, right? So at Harmon Park, his girlfriend's, period started unexpectedly over there, right? And then what is she gonna do? She called him. It's like, hey, I'm stuck in the restroom. I can't come out. So he had to leave the park, drive, to CVS just to get a pad or tampon. And when he came back, he realized he couldn't find a parking.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then men are coming around and they're sharing because they understand their coworkers, they could have been gone into, have faced this problem. Their girlfriend, their mom, their sister, right? So yeah, FlowCare is about everyone.
Yay! It is. It really is. So period equity can be a sensitive and even stigmatizing topic. What kind of creative strategies have you used to start conversations to get buy-in from your key stakeholders? And if you want to share some of those, who those are, some of the few key stakeholders you have, I'm just going to put this up as like places you've been, and you can talk about it a little bit. But yeah, just how do you even begin the conversation?
I mean, first conversation, first I had to tell myself that this is not a stigma topic and I should be comfortable talking about periods with everyone, right? Especially men. And then I understand some men could be like, oh my gosh, why is she talking about periods, right? But if you have, like you talked about earlier, creativity, right? Happy, playful mindset. I carry that playful mindset or energy with me, right?
Me too.
Right? And if I can talk to someone, right, and engage them in a playful mindset around periods, they're no longer thinking of period as a stigma topic.
Nice.
Right? You're just reframing the conversations around periods. And I've seen that worked both with men and women because guess what? We are even more conditioned as women to talk about period or think about period as a shame. What have been taught?
Right.
To hide products.
Right.
Not have conversation on periods.
Right.
So I think when we show period in the light of fun and playfulness, that really changes people's attitude towards period, right? And also to tell people, like, I asked them, I really sort of question how much do we know about period, right? I'm a nurse. I was using size S, right? So tampons come in 3 sizes, SRL, right? I thought, and I was using size S, thinking it's small, right? Do you know what SRL stand for?
I've had this conversation. It's super, but we've already discussed this. So yes, I know now.
You know now, right? But 79% of population doesn't know that S actually stands for super, not small, right? And L stands for light and not large.
Yeah.
Right? Like, kind of crazy. So when I talk about these things, people are like, oh my gosh, we never learned about periods, right? And that's when they realize we need to make some changes, right? We need to talk more about periods. These products should be standard, right? And then I also bring the point of how it is really impacting organizations' bottom line, right? That if once the organization realizes this is a basic hygiene need like toilet paper, right? And because of the lack of that access in restroom, their people have to leave work, face shame. And this is impacting their productivity. It's actually a cost for them to not provide these products. Then they may start making that change, right? And this is how I am going and having these conversations. So we've implemented at Texas Medical Center. This is actually Danny from Texas Medical Center. He was there to help me through this whole implementation, right? This is an implementation picture from Ion, right? That's such a co-working space. So we're bringing.
So you're at Sesh also?
No, so Sesh we haven't implemented yet. Okay. But Sesh really appreciate and they're really behind Flow Care, and they invited us. So there was a nonprofit organization, Girl Inc. Right, and they were there, and I was there Sesh invited us to talk to Girl Inc. like all these girls to empower them about periods and also empower them career journeys, right? And that's where naturally, just because I took Flow Care with me, a lot of time girls came up to me and was like, hey, can we have something, right? Their periods, they were having their periods and they didn't have anything there.
Yeah.
Right. So they came and, and then naturally we started having more conversations, right? One of them actually shared, she was like, oh, I didn't know that I can use tampon to swim. She was missing swimming classes.
Oh, wow.
Right. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I never had the conversation with my mom. Like my mom never, and I grew up very Mexican, very conservative, Catholic, and my mom was always just very. It wasn't something we spoke freely about,
right?
And it just as you're talking, like how many girls experience that, how many it's not something you openly talk about, like even in your family, in your safest space. It's not something I've discussed with my brothers. Like it's not something, like I think it's been you that has really like really made it okay. Like I'll talk about it with my daughter, of course, but like besides that, like I don't think anybody really speaks to how this impacts like all of us. And it's such a like we have periods because those are our eggs, and it's like the basic foundation of human life,
Yeah, right. I mean, because if we didn't have periods, well, guess what?
But we can't talk about it,
right? Like if we didn't have periods, there will be no life on Earth, right? We cannot produce baby, but that's right. We cannot produce babies, or we cannot have offsprings, right? But besides that, period also play an important role. Period is just not for fertility and for childbirth. Period is there to empower your health. You as a woman have less chances of heart attack because you have periods.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Exactly, right? So it's kind of crazy that we just like, oh yeah, hush hush topic, let's not talk about it. No, your well-being is dependent on period. It's a fifth vital sign. Periods are the one because we regulate estrogen, it's keeping our bones stronger. Think about it. Why all of a sudden, when we get menopause, right, they're worried about, oh, you have higher chances of heart attack, weak bones. What happened?
Wow, that's blowing my mind.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
these are the things that people have not talked about. We don't even have conversations on periods in our education system. I went to nursing school and I did not learn any of this.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of, so yeah.
Right. I saw something recently that they had found that like period blood actually has like stem cells as
Oh,
well.
yes.
So like the things that are coming out about it too, and I just really love seeing women take on leadership positions and start businesses because this is what it takes, you know? Like this is actually what it takes for us to understand that having period products everywhere is beneficial for everybody.
Exactly,
You know,
right?
like a woman to actually start doing something about it.
Yes, no, absolutely, right? And you know, I don't know if we have enough time, but like, what you were
minutes.
talking about, like period blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about like how society have like really shamed us about periods. I remember thinking, you know, at least my mom telling me to like think like, oh, period blood is dirty, right? It's like, and now we are learning that it's actually has stem cell. It can grow bones, it can grow lungs, right? Like it can actually solve problems.
Right.
It can solve health problems, right?
Right.
It's not dirty, it's powerful.
It's like magic.
Yes, right? And,
And
yeah.
women create it every month, hopefully, right? Because there's also a lot of like, I mean, I don't want to get way into that, but just how periods are being affected with like environment and hormones and everything. Like I know a few women that just struggle with having a regular period, or it's too heavy, or like there was somebody that was she didn't stop having her period for like years.
Oh yes, I mean I'm having a lot of those conversations, right? And this is why, and I'll share like this. I was at Rice University. I was invited by the at Women Business Association at Rice University, right? And I talked to this lady. She shared how she was having constant bleeding. Like you know, whenever her period would start, she would have very heavy bleeding, like to the point that she would be passing out.
No.
Right? She was going to male doctors, many white male doctors. They wouldn't even offer her an ultrasound, like basic thing, like ultrasound.
Yeah.
It took a female doctor of color to prescribe her an ultrasound, and she learned she was actually having a cancer.
Wow.
She had a uterus cancer.
Wow.
Right? So my mission with Flow Care is just not access, right? I say access, education, and care. These are the three big pillars of Flow Care. And my vision with Flow Care is to solve all these problems, right? Provide education so we are empowered. We can learn about our own health and also have our own clinicians who can, solve period health issues for women without any stigma, right?
Nice.
Without missing or without being dismissive of their concerns,
Right.
right? And that's a bigger purpose of Flow Care.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit of where you see Flow Care, say like in 5 years, and how you see specifically Flow Care normalizing conversations around menstruation through your design and your innovations.
Yes. So really, my biggest vision for Flow Care is to have Flow Care in every restroom, right? Once we make accessibility a norm, all these concerns go away. There's no more a question, should they be available or not, right? This becomes a norm, right? So that's my biggest vision with Flow Care. But another thing that I want to do, like we talked about two other pillars, education and access, right? Empower women to learn how period are actually, not only just women actually, society, right? Both when men, women, and others, to empower them to learn about periods so they know how periods are important for well-being for each other, right? Like we talked about how they are keeping our heart empowered, right? And through that, we can reframe these conversations from period equity or period shame to period positivity.
Oh, nice.
Right? And this is why I said Flow Care is about period positivity, right? Is to reframe those narrative around period and to change that and to spread period positivity, right? While empowering people through access, education, and healthcare. This is my true vision for Flow Care.
Oh, I'm so excited. And it seems like half of the country is backing you up on it now.
Yes, absolutely, right? And
we
now
just
what
need
we
some
need,
advocacy in Texas.
yes, I would definitely like, to your point, right? Connecting with the legislators here to make that change, but then also connecting with the investors. We need more impact investors, right, to come and for them to realize that this is not only just a social issue, this is a business problem, right? And Flow Care is really a very strong business model, a very strong company that can scale this and they solve this problem not only nationally here in the US, but globally.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So if we really want to take forward this mission, we need to have more investors coming on and supporting Flow Care.
You know, and so we're at the Clarity Castle in Invincible in Houston, but Invincible has pillars that are sustainability, programming, events, and fundraising. But when you really start thinking about what sustainability actually means, like you can't avoid these social issues and these social constructs that are happening that are in the way of sustainability. You know?
Yes, absolutely, right? Because I know we can think of sustainability from a organic perspective, right? But if someone is, and then how it impacts Earth, but we live in this Earth, right? So if something is impacting us, isn't that an impact of sustainability, right? How are we going to have sustainable organizations if we are now supporting half of their population, right? So sustainability start with us, right? And how do we improve that impact on us? And then being mindful, whatever solutions we are building, they're solving, they're good solutions, and they're not, they're supporting the environment as well.
Yeah.
Right? So this is why for Flow Care, our pads are organic, right? Our tampons are organic. And I also want to change our packaging that way that also becomes organic.
Nice.
Right. So yeah.
Nice. Well, we're out of time. We can talk about this forever, but do you have any advice or any tips for any women, especially women of color, that have a vision and want to see it come alive?
Yes.
I know you probably have like a whole speech on this, but we got like 2 minutes. Tanu.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, you know, I'm also learning through this journey, right? And I never really thought people would consider my gender when I'm building a solution, a scalable company. But the reality is that, you know, that's the truth, right? We unfortunately live in the world where that does come a play, right? So I would suggest them to really focus on one, building a solution, right? Building an MVP and getting your customer, right? And being very engaged and building those relationships with your customers. But at the same time, something that I didn't do, I would highly recommend is also start having early conversations with the investors and bring them as a part of the journey. Don't think about investors later on. You know, yes, you need to be product focused, implementation focused, sales focused, but you also have to think about who could be the right investors, how would I be reaching out to them, right? And do that parallel instead of, you know, but I've also seen some people who just wait for investors to come through, right? And then they go about say, oh, I'm going to only build something and implement a change when I get some money from the investors. No, right? It needs to happen hand to hand. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's great advice. I needed to hear that. I mean, you know that, and it's true. But yes, they have to be part of the journey.
Yeah, right. But you've been, you know, you've been doing a lot. You've been, you know, you are actually implementing it, right? You're actually already visible. Look at this. We're here, right?
We're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have for right now. Thank you so much, Tanu, for joining me today. Thank you, Tampi, for also joining us. Thank you all for listening to our second episode of season 2 of Imagine That, Changing the Flow. Shout out to Clarity Castle and Invincible, where we record. Tune in next month for our next show, our episode 3 of season 2 of Imagine That. Thank you.
Bye.
You may say that I'm a dreamer. Oh no, that I'm not the only one. Oh, I hope someday